I want you to close your eyes and picture the perfect salesperson. Do you imagine someone like Steve Jobs, who sold millions of products from stage? Or do you imagine the Wolf of Wall Street coaxing money out of people's pockets with just a phone? But if we were to list the greatest salespeople in modern business, it would be a disservice to not mention Estee Lauder, the founder of one of the world's largest beauty companies. While the conglomerate that bears her name did more than $17 billion in top-line revenue last year, it started with Lauder walking into hair salons and retail locations, demoing her product, and relentlessly following up. Today, her conglomerate holds brands like Clinique and The Ordinary in their portfolio, and the company continues to execute the passion and vision of its eponymous founder. That drive has made Estee Lauder the second largest cosmetics company in the world. But it started in the founder's own kitchen, where Lauder grew to develop her philosophy that every woman could be beautiful. This is the motto that Lauder lived by, and which she would convince her customers of every time she sold a product off of her shelves. Lauder was born Josephine Esther Menzer in the summer of 1908 to Hungarian Jewish immigrants Rose Schatz and Max Menzer. Despite being born Josephine, she went by Estee as a childhood nickname, and that was what stuck when it came time to establish herself in the entrepreneurial world. She grew to understand business by working in her family's hardware store, where she developed her own sales tactics by watching her father. By the time she finished high school, she was well versed in the art of selling. But selling hardware was not her passion. It was only when her uncle, Dr. John Schatz, moved in with the family that Estee discovered her life's calling. Dr. Schatz was a chemist, and he taught Lauder how to make fragrances, lotions, cream, and rouge in her own kitchen. In short order, Lauder began to sell her own skincare products at beach clubs, salons, and beauty shops. After working diligently to promote her products, Lauder was approached by a salon owner, Florence Morris, who was fascinated by Lauder's perfect skin. She invited Lauder to set up a small counter inside her salon where she could demonstrate her products to the salon clients. It was the perfect place to sell. Customers were already coming in, looking to get their hair styled, and while they were trapped under the dryers, Lauder had a captive audience to pitch them on improving their skin. Lauder proved real demand and satisfaction for her products. With a wind at her back, she pursued even greater heights. She set her sights on one of the crown jewels of American retail, Saks Fifth Avenue. And in 1947, she earned her first order for $800 worth of product. When her products debuted, they sold out almost immediately. Saks placed another order, which opened the door for Lauder to aim even higher. So she introduced her first fragrance, Youth Dew. When it was released in 1953, Lauder changed how the perfume industry operated forever. See, typically perfume was only for special occasions. Women waited for their husbands to buy them perfume for birthdays and anniversaries, and it was rare for perfume to be worn on a day-to-day basis. When Lauder released Youth Dew, she released it as a bath oil rather than a perfume. This moved fragrance into part of women's daily routine. It also removed perfume's exclusive status and allowed it to become something that every woman could use. In the first year of its release, Youth Dew sold 50,000 bottles. By 1984, it had sold 150 million bottles. As her company grew, Estee Lauder's high-touch service sales process remained the bedrock of establishing loyal customers that lasted a lifetime. High-touch service meant showing the results of the product on the customer's face and explaining them in great detail. The process involved demoing a product on the customer's skin, explaining the ingredients that went into the product, and showing how consistent use of the product had contributed to Estee's youthful glow. To customers, this was education and service that created an emotional bond between the user and the company. It wasn't just the efficacy of Lauder's products, but how she pitched them that made it so successful. Another part of her pioneering sales process was the practice of giving free samples and gifts alongside each purchase. While this style of marketing is now common, it originally set Lauder apart from her competitors. In a time that wasn't very forgiving to independent female business owners, Lauder constantly worked and thought of ways to grab audience for her products. She firmly believed that if they were good enough, consumers would bring in other consumers. She believed that to create a market, she had to telegraph, telephone, and tell a woman. At the height of her success, she was asked for the secret behind her accomplishments. She shared, "What makes a successful businesswoman? Is it talent? Well, perhaps, although I've known many enormously successful people who were not gifted in any outstanding way, not blessed with a particular talent. Is it then intelligence? Certainly, intelligence helps, but it's not necessarily education or the kind of intellectual reasoning needed to graduate from the Wharton School of Business that are essential. What then is the mystical ingredient? It's persistence. It's the certain little spirit that compels you to continue, just when you're at your most tired. It's that quality that forces you to persevere, find the route around the stone wall. It's the immovable stubbornness that will not allow you to cave in when everyone says, give up." As a businesswoman, Lauder was involved in every job at the company. She understood intimately that in addition to having vision and drive, you had to be able to sell. She remained in an executive position at Estee Lauder until 1995. Which was the same year that the company went public on the New York stock market. Considering that the company was founded in 1946, that's 49 years that the company was managed and maintained purely by Lauder and her family. Her children and grandchildren still hold positions within the conglomerate to this day. As of 2023, Estee Lauder owns over 20 different beauty and cosmetics brands, some of which are the most recognizable names in the industry, like MAC or Jo Malone. The diversity of the company's portfolio keeps it consistent in its growth and continues to fuel this idea of having passion for your product. With a few simple but timeless tactics, Estee Lauder changed her childhood nickname into the beauty giant that we know today.